Welcome into episode 556 of the Skate Podcast. I am Brian DeFelice, joined by Bridget Prue and Scott McLaughlin. Bridget and Scott, unfortunately, we had to hear one of, if not the worst goal horns in the league 6 times last night as the Hurricanes beat Boston 6-5 in overtime. And Bridget has mentioned before we started recording, it's one of the weird games of the year, and she can detail why throughout this episode. But 4 straight losses for Boston to start the month of April. Not how you draw it up.
No, they have a winless 4-game road trip, and yet they did get closer to clinching a playoff spot by virtue of at least getting 2 points, one in each of the last 2 games, and some other teams slipping up over the last week, really week to 2 weeks. So they are now 99% to make the playoffs, and they could clinch as early as Thursday night, even though they're off. If Columbus, Detroit, and the Islanders all lose in regulation, if not, they'll have a chance to clinch on Saturday if they beat Tampa. So, yeah, it's a weird spot because it's like it's clearly, it's never great to lose 4 in a row. That they were tough opponents, and at least in the case like Philly, is clearly a team that was in a more desperate spot than the Bruins. And it just kind of has this weird feel of like, it feels like this should be hurting the Bruins. And like, I think people on social media, some are freaking out. And yet it's like, but they're still 99% in. And like, we're not yet at like, oh my God, this could actually turn into full-blown disaster. But with 3 games left, like, your mind does kind of wander a bit. And it's like, what if they do just lose these last 3 games? Like, what if this does just go full-blown train wreck, like all-time collapse mode? I don't think it does. I think they're going to be okay. But, it's just not an ideal time to go on a bit of a skid here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Pasternak after the game, Sturm after the game, both said, we'll take the point, but it just doesn't feel good, right? Even Geekie, who had a hat trick, said, it's hard to feel good about it, and have a personal positive when you feel like you left points on the table again. So, and it was a weird game. Okay, you get a hat trick for Geekie, they lose. They pulled. There was a goalie pull. There was a goalie who pretended he died. There were some weird penalties. There was so many just weird little moments of momentum changes and mistakes, and it was kind of all over the place, honestly, for a while. I don't think the Bruins really figured it out until the third period, and luckily for them, Korpisalo kept him in it once he came in, because there were a lot of mistakes out in front of Korpisalo in that second period that could have easily ended up in the back of the net, and it could have been a 10-4 Carolina win or something like that. But instead, it's 6-5. I mean, it's a lot of goals too, guys. Like, it's just a lot of times that there's scoring. I mean, for a broadcaster, that's a good game to call. Like, I would have loved to call that game because there's a lot going on, makes our lives easier. But man, that had a lot. There's a lot going on.
And oh, by the way, the winner is scored by Jacob Slavin, and it's his first goal of the season. In game number 78 or 79, whatever, finally scores his first goal. That there was one normal thing though, and that was Rod Brendamore getting so mad at the refs that it looks like his head was about to pop.
Scott, there was one point where I even said it online. There was a sequence where Logan Stankoven was down. Did I say his name right, by the way? Is it Stankoven? Yeah. He was down in the Carolina offensive zone, and the play goes down to the Bruins offensive zone, and he gets to his feet, and the refs blow the play dead when the Bruins have possession and potentially, an odd man situation. So that whistle goes in favor of Carolina, and then the next play, Carolina ices it, pretty objective, and then the next play, off of a face-off, it's McAvoy to Zacha, tie game, and Brend'Amore's losing his head on the bench at the refs. It's like, even for Rod the Bod, I'm sitting there saying, in this given sequence, in the last, call it 90 seconds, in what world do you feel like you got in the raw end of the deal? You got the favor of the call. with Stankoven down.
Well, that's his thing. That's what he does.
It's like, no, I know that's what he does, but even for him, it was just wow. That was a new one for me.
Yeah, I think he thought McAvoy high-sticked Stankoven, and that they missed a penalty call.
Okay.
They missed a few penalty calls, and they also called a few that I was like, I don't know. it was crazy, but yeah, he always seems to get he will always have, his team seems to always have more power plays than the other team, yet he's always still complaining about like this was a penalty that, it's just which I don't know, I kind of feel like has worked for him in his career, and that because he's like that, something in the back of the ref's mind, they're just like, oh, we got to give him the next, like, I don't know, there's something, it works, and that's why he does it. I don't think he just does it because he loses his on the bench, like mentally. I think there's a purpose to it. But yeah. All right, why don't we get into our opening shifts? I think we'll start with you, Scott, because goaltending was one of the more interesting goaltending games.
Before we do, Scott, just because I know I'm gonna forget, and I was tasked with it before we started recording, but on Friday we will be doing a mailbag episode. Okay, there's not a Bruins game after this recording before our next episode, so send us any of your questions, YouTube, Instagram, or not Instagram, what's it called? Twitter, email, handwritten, whatever. Scott, what's the email again? EEI at
skatepod at weei.com.
Yes.
And we're at the skatepod on Twitter.
Yeah.
YouTube, we're on the WEI page. You can leave comments there. So all the above, but we figured it would be a good time. One, because like you said, the Bruins don't play again until Saturday, but two, like last push, 3 games left in the regular season. So you can hit us with stuff about that, potential playoff matchups, lineup stuff. James Hagens, we're going to get into him again. I promise we're going to try not to do as much of the episode about Hagens, but like, look, it's a huge topic. So I'm sure more than a few of the questions will be about that. And that's fine. Like it's a big talker. He might be up by then. He might not be. We'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good time for a reset too. Like we're talking about 4-game losing streak, like the fact they actually have a few days in a row here to kind of get their head straight. Today, they're not practicing. So this is like a real reset day, just, rest and then practice the next 2 days. But yeah,
I think they are clearly Sturm and like their trainers are, I would say they clearly recognize that like this team by the end of this road trip was pretty exhausted, because they initially had, so actually I think Monday was always a scheduled off day, but then they scrapped their morning skate on Tuesday as well. I believe. Yeah. And then they had a practice scheduled Wednesday initially and scrapped that. So that's 2 days in a row. They've scrapped what would have been an on ice session, which is unusual. So I think that's a pretty clear acknowledgement that they feel like this team needs some rest, and then they'll still get the 2 full practices Thursday and Friday before Saturday.
They would have gotten home so late last night too, and then to turn around and have a 10 a.m. practice just seemed counterproductive, honestly.
Yeah, I think the practice would have always been moved till later, is my guess.
Still, like not much later. Usually, it's still normally like 11. It's not like they're push it to like 4 p.m. or anything like that. But
no, every now and then they'll do a 1 p.m. But yeah, usually it's somewhere. Usually it's in that 10:30 to 11:30 window.
Scott, one more second before you get into your opening shift. I just realized that there's a 3-way tie right now for first place in the Atlantic, and it's seeming like with the Bruins being wildcard 1 and Carolina being the top team in the East, that the Bruins will be drawing whoever's A1, which means all of a sudden we have a possibility of Bruins Canadians round 1 that we didn't really think was possible a couple weeks ago.
Oh, believe me, I've taken note.
Okay.
I am that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Now Montreal does lose all the tiebreakers, so they would have to win outright But it's very possible. I think Thursday night, Montreal, Tampa, right?
I think so.
If I remember the schedule correctly. So that'll with Bruins off, that game plus Frozen 4, still a good hockey night.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and me to my dad like every day since it's looking like it might, there's a chance. I'm like, Dad, Montreal, let's go to Montreal. Like I just want to. That he's never been to a game in Montreal, so he wants to go. So if they draw them, he's considering going up and watching a game in that building. Which, yeah, that'll be a great atmosphere for sure. I thought, Brian, you were gonna say it's the 3rd year anniversary of Scott's Pops because that happened. And, that's everybody's favorite fake brand of all time.
Fake until it's not.
Yeah, fake until one day we're just like, let's actually find the logistics to get this done. But yeah, that's 3 years of torturing Scott with Scott's Pops. And he likes it though.
I just hope everyone had a good Scott's Pops day. I know I saw people on the streets celebrating.
Schools get half days, right, on Scott's Pop Day?
Yeah, free popcorn in the cafeteria.
Yeah. The crew of Artemis 2 was celebrating up in space. I saw that. So,
Scott, there's far worse things that you can be associated with in this world than popcorn. I would embrace the hell out of it, which you do every home game. So, all right.
It all goes back to I accidentally broke my foot. And I was bored. And instead of working out, I photoshopped Scott's head onto a popcorn and then made it into a sticker. So really my boredom was a big factor in this. And also, Scott, I don't know if you noticed, but I changed the logo to your face on the popcorn in the corner. But I do that occasionally. No one seems to notice. I saw one time we have some other Odyssey podcasts that we use like the same platform, and I've seen other podcasts use your popcorn logo in the corner. I don't even know you or us, but I've seen it in the corner. Like there's some other streamable watch party for like at a random team, and it has that Scott's face in the corner. I was like, what is this? But yeah, it's everybody likes it. Everybody's a fan of it. So but yeah, we'll let you, Scott's Pops, go to your opening shift first.
Yeah, so not Jeremy Swayman's finest night. Gets pulled midway through the second period after giving up 5 goals on 23 shots, including 3 goals in a stretch of just over 3 minutes. In the second period, Jonas Korpisalo comes in and is excellent the rest of the way. Arguably the biggest reason the Bruins are able to get a point is because Korpisalo comes up with some really huge saves in the third period, especially a couple point blank. He robs Aho, on the doorstep with under 5 minutes left in a 5-5 game. But it's just obviously it's a rough time for Swayman to have that kind of night. Again, the Bruins they're not in like a do or die situation. It's not quite that dire, but this was a big game, right? Against a potential first round opponent. You're trying to end the road trip on a high note. The team's a little tired. You're probably going to have to rely on your goalie. Swayman has come through in those spots plenty of times this season. He's been one of the 3 best goalies in the NHL this year. But he didn't get it done this time, and he wasn't alone. The Bruins were very sloppy defensively in front of him for most of that, 28 or so minutes that he played. Couple of bad turnovers leading up to the third and fourth goals in particular. Mark Kastelik on the PK, puck on his stick, chance to clear the zone, turns it over, stays in, Carolina scores. Morgan Geekie on the fourth goal, gets the puck stripped down low in the D zone. It's in the back of the net 2 seconds later. So Jeremy Swayman is not alone. But I did think there were a couple of those goals where I don't know if they were soft, but you just want to save. That they were savable shots that he just didn't get. And he seemed to struggle finding shots through traffic. So just an off night. And if you stretch this back 3 periods for him and go back to the third period in Tampa on Saturday, he gives up the winning goal on that was a really soft goal, no matter how else you look at it. It's a long wrister from outside the dots that he just misjudges. So I would say 3 straight periods of Swayman just not being on his game. You hope that's all it is. Obviously, you're gonna rely on him in the playoffs. I don't think we're talking about a goalie controversy, even though Korpisalo has now been really good 2 games in a row. Starting Sunday in Philadelphia. But you got to get Swayman's got to get on track for the playoffs. He probably gets 2 of these last 3 games would be my guess. Maybe all 3 if like the Bruins really need to win, but my guess is 2 of 3. And you hope that whatever this little slip up is, just stops at a game and a half and does not carry forward any further.
Yeah, the advanced stats were not kind to Swayman, or but they were to Korpisalo. In all situations, Swayman had 2.52 expected goals against, which still, like, that tells you the Bruins weren't playing the best out in front of him. But he had allowed 5 goals, so 2.5 was the expected, 5 was the actual. 10.51 goals against average. He was on pace to give up 10 goals in that game if he had stayed in. And then Korpisalo, obviously no goals against until the overtime. And he had 1.68 expected goals against. So like he was making saves that he wasn't expected to make, essentially is what that means. 17 saves in regulation in his time, no goals against. So the stats were pretty starkly different in that game. Certainly didn't feel like Swayman's best game, and you'd want to be having your number 1 goalie trending differently this time of year. Also, guys, it was against a playoff team, so like the first 2 periods that they put up against a team they might have to play in the opening round, that is, should be a good practice for what you're going to face in the playoffs. It just was not good. They were able to turn it around in the third, but like we're not just talking about one game. That's just there's future things that might come out of this, right? Like this might just be one game in right before another series in with the same team. So there could be future things that we could end up coming back and talking about some of the stuff that happened today.
I think there's a lot to get into there, but I'll save it until after the rest of the opening shifts.
Yeah. Okay. Brian, go ahead.
So the other main story to come from this game from a Bruins perspective is Morgan Geekie, right? He had a 17-game goal drought that he snapped, not just with a goal, but a hat trick, as Bridget said off the top. And it's funny how hockey works. I had said online, I had said on here that once he gets one, don't be surprised if 2 or 3 or 4 come shortly thereafter. I didn't expect it to be in the same game necessarily, but it's just how it works. And when you look at the sequence of his first goal on was it Tuesday? The Hurricanes had a odd man rush that they should have scored on. I think Svechnikov found Aho on his forehand, and for whatever reason, he wasn't. They had Swayman beat dead to rights. They had the Bruins defense that were trying to come back or whatever, dead to rights, and it was a wide open cage for Aho. He just wasn't able to get the shot off. I forget if it was. I think he just whiffed on it. I don't think he got a lot on it, or whatever the case may be. The puck goes the other way. So what should have been a Carolina goal to make it, I think, 3-1. The puck goes the other way, and David Pastrnak finds a way to find Morgan Geekie in the slot, and now it's 2-2. And if Carolina finishes off that play, then Morgan doesn't have the chance to get that first goal, which then leads to the monkey off the back and the confidence going in the hat trick that would ensue the rest of the game. And I also think it's worth noting where the goals came from. All 3 of his goals, he was parked in front of the net, in the blue paint, 5 feet outside of it. And Morgan has the ability to score from distance that I would say 90-95% of players in the NHL level wish they could do consistently, but they can't. And the fact that he has that tool in his arsenal is great. But when all else fails, you score goals in front of the net, especially when you have a shot like his. So as dangerous as his shot is from distance, imagine what it's like in tight. And I just think that it's not really a major surprise that when he starts to get inside ice in the most dangerous area of the ice, and playing a full shift with Pasternak, which we need to mention as well, because he set him up twice in the primary assist, that's what's led to his success. So what are you doing? Musical chairs there, Bridget? What are you doing?
We had two Scots for a second. It's fine.
Oh, I never saw two.
Yeah.
Anyways,
for half a second, but it was reminding me of when that used to happen to you many times.
Oh
2
yes,
years back.
yeah. Me and my evil twin.
But no, I do.
One liked DeBrusque, one hated him. Remember?
Oh yeah, the evil twin. But yeah, Brian, the hat trick also. A common theme in the hat trick, besides going in the net, was the first two of the goals were set up by really nice plays by David Pasternak. And then after the game, Geekie said, because obviously this is a fairly new reunion of that line, right? Like they had kept the same lines together for a while. Geekie was away from Pasternak for a while. They come back, to try to get Geekie going. And wouldn't you know, Pasternak sets him up for 2 goals. It didn't look great the previous game. But this game, obviously, Pasternak finding Geekie for 2 goals was huge for Geekie. And they're just smart plays by Pasternak. He draws a defender. He comes up the left side and then just pops it out to Geekie. One of them was Pasta shot it off the side of the net, got the rebound in the corner, threw it out front. Another one was Pasta took it down the left side, just popped it out in front. And Geekie said in the post game, I know where to go on the ice for him to find me, because they do have that history with each other. So important to note, I think, the common themes in his goals.
Yeah, and I really liked Geekie's work leading up to the third goal too. Like he was strong on the puck, he was protecting it, and then he ends up getting rewarded by going to the front and tipping in Zadorov's shot. Bruins maybe get away with a slight pick from Charlie McAvoy there to free up some space for Zadorov. But I think that would have been a tough call had they made it. Like, I think McAvoy was on the right side of the line there where you can get away with it. Although I gotta say, when you throw your hands up, like, you kind of make yourself look more guilty. Like, yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, he looked like he was looking around like, oh no, they're gonna call me. And then luckily they didn't, because like you said, immediately after, Geekie tips in a point shot from Zadorov, and Zadorov himself had a weird game. So there was no fight. I thought that for sure there was going to be a fight with him in the third period. Who was it that he was going at it with?
Delorier, but that's why they didn't fight, because Delorier didn't play in the third period. He did one shift.
Yeah, classic. And there's a few other Bruins that I want to talk about that didn't really play in the third period as well. But Brian, is that your thoughts for now on Geekie?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go to my opening shift because we will talk about it later. And it is about the current Bruins situation and also how it affects James Hagens. So I tweeted out last night the stat line for Alex Steeves, who was in the game. He comes in for Reichel. And so his stat line was 1 shot, -1, about 10 minutes time on ice. He got replaced by Tanner Jeannot on the third line, and he had 2 shifts in the third period. I believe it amounted to just about a minute of play in the third period. So obviously that's not the stat line of someone who is going to be keeping the door closed on anyone. Reichel was a healthy scratch. Eysmont was a healthy scratch. So here we are talking again about the 3 current options on the Bruins roster for that third line spot, and wondering if there's a better 4th option down in Providence. So whereas a few episodes ago, it looked like Sturm was kind of giving Reichel a vote of confidence that he wanted to keep him there, he's been scratched a few times since then. And Steeves didn't look much better in that spot. He was very quiet. He had a few hits, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like I really didn't notice him. I don't know what you guys thought of that, but yeah, give me a quick thought on that.
Well, I was just gonna say I haven't noticed him much since he signed his contract extension with the Bruins either, but that might be an unfair cheap shot by me. But he hasn't played much. But if he was playing super well, I don't think he'd be a healthy scratch so often either. That's kind of the other side of it. But also, Bridget, I got to tell you, and I don't want to bury the lead, but you know, the last part of your tweet had me fired up because I know how you feel about the situation. You've made it clear on here, but sometimes on Twitter, you're more conservative in your hot takes. You like to save them for the podcast. So when I rolled out of the Burlington Ice Palace last night at 11:45 after a couple of Bud Lights after a big playoff game, and I opened my phone and I saw that you had tweeted declaratively bring up James Hagens. I said, let's fucking go, Bridget. Now that is what I'm talking about. Put it out there. Bring in all the comments. I was loving it. It got me fired up.
It's just like, it's so obvious to me. I don't know, but obviously we have discourse. Some people saying that I was stupid and that he's never gonna. Some people saying it's a bad idea, right? Some people saying it's a good idea, but it's not going to happen, and other people being like, "Yes, this needs to happen right now." So I actually put up a poll on the Skate Pod Twitter account last night as well. Question was, should the Bruins call up Hagens now? And we have, as of right now, it's 80% yes, 20% no. So 80% of fans, and obviously this is fans. This isn't necessarily, we're not getting to like GM mindset, but 80% of the votes came in, yes, call him up. I think, you know, the stats and the play of those three guys have left it open for him. There's 3 games left. We talked about there's a few practice days that he could have to acclimate to the team. I mean, it just feels like the right thing to do. Obviously, I mean, I've had people to say that I'm biased because of my college hockey stuff. It's like, I don't know if that makes me biased. I think that just makes me, I just have seen him more. And, you know, I just maybe know a little bit more about him and where he is. And I have faith that there's something he can do, but it also reflects what the current people are doing. That's what honestly, that's why I tweeted bring up James Hagens yesterday and not before, because I just feel like now it's pretty clear that the other 3 aren't making a case for themselves. And so why not call up someone who can help you score? And I think somebody tweeted, it might have been, was it Ty? Tweeted, I don't understand the argument to keep out James Hagens if you think he's going to have a few turnovers. Literally everyone else on this team has turns the puck over 20 times. Like, it's true. There was a lot of mistakes that were made, a lot of turnovers in that game. It's like, if Hagens has 1 or 2, that just makes him on par with the rest of everyone else, including, you know, your best players. Pasternak had some really egregious ones, not this game, but the previous game. So if those are your arguments, I don't see it. If your argument is about development, like some people say, I also don't see it. But
I mean, okay, it's a clever tweet, but like obviously no organization is ever going to think that way. Like, let's be very clear.
Think what way?
Like, no one's ever going to be like, oh, we have other guys who turn the puck over, so who cares if we have more guys who turn the puck over?
It was just funny. It was said
right, but that's all. But I think like a lot of people thought that was like serious and like an actual good point, and I'm like, Dunce, like any GM in the NHL would be fired in 3 days if they ever thought that way. And we're like, you know what? We don't care about turnovers anymore.
He's up, and your point's taken, Scott. I also feel though, and no one here is saying to the contrary. And of course, James turns the puck over once in a while. It's called being a hockey player. Every hockey player does. Even the best defensive players turn the puck over once in a while. Patrice Bergeron turned the puck over once in the blue moon. It happens. But the narrative, new
banner.
Whoa. Wow. Crazy
You're
times.
welcome. I knew this was going to be necessary, so I made this last night.
Wow.
I also knew there was no, even though we said we were going to save this for towards later in the podcast this time, I knew there was no chance that was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we got a half hour in, but it is the most polarizing topic right now, and honestly the most relatable, because they have lost 4 straight, and about 7 or 8 of their forwards have gone about a month plus without doing much of anything. But the thing about the Hagens turnover stuff, I just want to say quickly, is part of what makes him such a blue chip prospect and what's made him such a coveted player throughout his career at every level he's played is he's a smart player. Part of his strengths is his IQ. He's not a turnover machine out there because he has offensive skill. I just wanted to say that too, because I feel like people are quick to just call a prospect vulnerable to turnovers because they're but part of his strengths, I'm not saying he would be null and void of mistakes. I'm just saying part of what makes him a great player is his strong hockey IQ, and he is a responsible player. It's just worth noting that.
Yeah, to be very clear, I actually think he values the puck a lot.
Yeah.
He takes care of the puck. Like,
Me too.
I think that is a strength of his game. He turns the puck over in the way that every player that play runs through that has the puck on their stick a lot is going to commit turnovers. Like, but I don't, even recently, like we've talked about, like Pasternak's had some truly careless turnovers, right? Like there's the Pasternak turnovers that are just going to happen because he has the puck so much, and you let him try things that you don't want other guys to try. That alone is going to lead to some turnovers. On top of that, Pasternak has been too careless for, what do we want to say, the last week and a half. And there's been too many, like, actually legitimately just careless, reckless plays, which we can call out when those happen. Hagens, I don't see him make a lot of careless, reckless plays. Like, maybe every once in a blue moon, but I actually do think he really values the puck and takes care of it. Now, he'll have some turnovers in the NHL just because he won't be used to the speed of how quickly guys close on him. That's going to take time, no matter when he comes up. That's going to happen. But yes, to get to the core question here, I am bringing James Hagens up for Thursday's practice. Get him 2 practices, make his NHL debut on Saturday with 3 games left in the regular season. Put him in a spot that has not been secured by any of those other 3 names we've talked about, Steves, Reichel, Eyssimont. See if Hagens can secure that spot. And even if he can't, even if it turns out that, you know what, he's just not ready to help you come game 1 of the playoffs, I still think there's value in him being around the team and practicing with them and seeing what a Stanley Cup playoff run looks like. And yes, that would cost him the potential to go on a deep run in Providence. I understand there is value in that. I don't dismiss that. I just don't think that's more valuable than being up here. I just don't. And it would be really hard to convince me otherwise because, by the way, like a deep run in Providence is also not guaranteed. Like the AHL playoffs are weird. Providence could get bounced. I mean, they'll get a bye through the first round, so they don't have to play that weird best of 3 series. But the next series is best of 5. Like they could get bounced. Like that could happen. They've had good teams in recent years that have not gone on deep playoff runs. That's not a guarantee.
Yeah. Also, getting a bye doesn't, like, you're not playing. You know what I mean? Like, getting a bye is like great. You get through a round, but it's not. You didn't play the round. It's not 3 extra games of experience. Like the 0 extra games of experience. But yeah, I do think some people that we've seen in the comments have thought that Providence experience was worth more than I think the 3 of us feel like it would be worth. Especially because it could be replaced by NHL experience that he could learn, get acclimated to, and going through an NHL playoff run would probably be twice as beneficial. So the pros are there, and it's not just, I don't think there's as many cons for him as people are thinking. Like, I don't think this is going to ruin his development. I've seen this narrative a bunch of times, like, oh, they ruined Matt Potter's development. It's like, no, he had a weird development because he got injured and everything kind of flipped upside down after that. And he's in the minors. He's been there for most of the season, all besides 2 games, and he's doing well there. But I don't think Matt Potter's development has been ruined in any way. It's just, he's probably more on the path that he would have naturally been as a 2nd-round pick, who, if he hadn't really shown himself in that first preseason, his rookie year, that none of us would have batted an eye about the development path that he's been on, aside from that. But I don't think they ruined him. I think he's still doing well and still will be in the NHL. And I don't think it will ruin Hagens for him to come up and then, it not work out 100% right away.
Yeah, they also, in addition to that commentary, Bridget, they also are different caliber prospects, and they were in different situations. If we go back a couple of years to Patra's first preseason that allowed him to make the team as a 19-year-old, I believe at the time his option was juniors or NHL. For whatever reason, the AHL wasn't an option. Had it been an option, I think maybe he would have been there.
Which, by the way, it is now moving forward. Teams can send, I believe it's like 1 19-year-old to the AHL. So like that could potentially be an option if he were going through that now, but it was not at the time. He was not eligible for the AHL.
And the other thing that was at play, and this might be my theory and my theory alone, I don't know if anybody agrees with me here, but I really do feel like that off season, that preseason, you had just lost David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron to retirement. Simultaneously, you're entering your centennial season. And I just feel like the Bruins as an organization said, oh, here's this young kid we just drafted that's looking really good in preseason and deservedly should be making this roster based on his preseason play. But I think that because they had just lost their 2 franchise centers for the last 2 decades and they were going into a big season, I don't think it was the worst idea in their mind to say, okay, if it's juniors of the NHL, he's playing well, he's a good story, maybe he's, part of that next wave, let's get him in now. So I think that, in the moment, there were reasons for why Matt was brought up to Boston. I just don't think it's the exact same comparison. And Matt was not a blue chip prospect. Hagens is. And you guys make a good point. Nobody here is saying that if he were to stay in the AHL this whole season, I don't think it hurts his development. I see the value in a playoff run with Providence and playing in all situations. I'm not saying that would hurt him, but people will say to me, why would you rather him be in the NHL with sheltered minutes? And I'm, to me, I don't know where the sheltered minutes comes from, because of course James probably wouldn't be relied upon in key defensive moments, but I don't view him as being any more sheltered than half their forward lineup in terms of a regular shift and probably being on one of the 2 power plays, definitely being on one of the two power plays. And I also think that going into a full off season, there's a big difference between knowing what to expect next year through firsthand experience and being told what to expect. And if I didn't think he could acclimate on the fly right now, and if I didn't think the Bruins could use it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I just think all signs point to it. I still feel like I'd be a little surprised if the Bruins did it, because they just seem to be stuck in their ways right now. And I hope I'm wrong.
So let's, but before we go any further, let's do a quick little prediction, because I don't think we'll get an announcement Wednesday, but Thursday morning, Bruins are practicing at Warrior Ice Arena. Is James Hagens there?
All right. So should he? Yes. Will he? No. I'm going to go to practice though and hope for the best.
I mean,
My prediction is no.
Here's the tricky part, because I believe Providence's next game is Friday. Boston's next game is Saturday. So if you're going to call up Hagens for Saturday in some way, shape, or form, it's got to be Thursday, because you're not going to call him up after he just played a game for Providence on Friday, right? So it does feel like if they're going to do it, and then the rest of the regular season, Providence plays Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If they don't call him up before Saturday for Boston, then I don't see him being up there at all the rest of the regular season. It would have to be a playoff call up. So to answer your question, Scott, I'm like 60-40 that they won't. So I'm going to say no, but I hope to God that I'm wrong, and I'll leave it at that.
Full disclosure, don't have any inside info, so this isn't sourced reporting, but I just have a hunch that they call him up, that he's there Thursday.
Oh, Psychic Scott.
Mystic
Occasionally,
McLaughlin.
yeah, he like looks into his crystal ball and he's like, oh, I see Hagens on the ice. Brian, are you gonna come to practice tomorrow just to find out for yourself?
Oh, you know what? I can't actually.
You can't?
Unfortunately, no, I can't. I have a work event. But if I could, I would. I'll be scrolling Twitter to see if he's there.
You have to fix a sink. Or...
Yeah, a lot of sinks, a lot of toilets need clogging, need unclogging. Yep. Gotta grab my wrench.
Yeah, get out there. We'll let you know. We'll keep you posted.
What's the more important corner, the Hagens call up corner or Brian's practice watching corner?
Brian's plumber's crack corner.
Wait, did you see the baseball clip yesterday?
Wait, what?
No, what game was that, Scott?
It was in Tampa. I forget who they were playing, but it was I think they were playing the Cubs, but Tampa Bay Rays game. Foul ball hit down the first base line into the stands, and Tampa, they have like the front rows are kind of like this weird, like almost patio area. Like it's set up more like a picnic than like stands. There's this one guy all alone, no one around him, tries to catch the foul ball, falls, stumbles as he's going down, pants all the ways down, full moon.
Oh my God.
It was, I mean, I don't even know. How do you recover from that in life?
You just embrace it. That's how you have to embrace it.
It almost led to an old Don Orsillo, Jerry Remy moment where the broadcasters just went silent for like a minute. And I was waiting for them to come back, just cracking up, but they somehow actually managed to stay professional and just call the game. But for like that 45 seconds, it was just they turned their mics off and they were just cracking up. Pun not intended, believe it or not.
I think I would have been so shocked. I would have just said, "Oh my God!" Like that would have just happened, because I don't know how you stop yourself from laughing or saying something about that. But it was. I mean, we've all had embarrassing moments, but that's worse than anything that's ever happened to me. I once fell like partway down the stairs in front of a college hockey team because my heel broke. But that's still not quite as bad. And I did catch myself on the railing before I hit the ground. But
that's not as cheeky,
No, not as cheeky.
It's cheeky, not as cheeky.
Mm-hmm. Oh, anyway, back to Hagens College.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
we'll find out. We'll find out at the crack of dawn.
Yeah,
yeah, we'll have to record a podcast at the crack of dawn.
I hope your hunch is correct, Scott. That would be great. I mean, I guess like there'd have to be some words of encouragement from Mujanel. You'd have to have Marco Sturm willing and able to bring him in this late. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see how much the Bruins care about developing him in a Providence playoff format. Like I just think I think he has the ability. He's not a finished product. There's no such thing as a finished product when they make their NHL debut. But I do think he has the speed, skill set, and the playmaking and hockey IQ, certainly compared to some of the names that we've mentioned already on the Bruins roster, that I just think there's so much value. He's a very smart player and he'll be a sponge to be able to go into these games and play meaningful games right away against some of the best teams in the NHL and realize how quick time and space closes on you, realize how strong guys are, realize how structured guys are, and to be able to mentally prepare for that and train for that over the course of the whole offseason, I just think has some strong benefits that people aren't giving credit to. People look at him going to the NHL as potentially hurting his development, rushing him. I don't view it as rushing him. I think he's ready to learn and be a sponge. And I think it'd be better for him.
Yeah, and I made this point last podcast, and Brian, I know you've made a similar point, but like give into the hope of what if this goes well? Like, what if he actually can help you win games in the playoffs and potentially go on a run up here? Like, don't just default to the, well, what if the worst case scenario plays out where he's not ready and you lose in 5 games and now his season's over in a week and a half? Like, no, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just in an optimistic mood for the spring or something. But like, look at the to me, the potential positives outweigh those potential negatives. Like, don't live in fear of like what happens if this doesn't go well. Like, ask yourself, like, how great would it be if the good thing wins out here, and it turns out he actually can make a difference and can help you, not be the savior, not score 5 goals in a 6-game playoff series, but make a positive impact. And like, so I'm willing to give it a shot. And the downside of what, if it doesn't work out, which is a possibility, I'm just not worried about. Like, by the way, he's had like a full season already. He had a full college season. Yes, AHL playoffs could be beneficial, but it's not like this season was like some sort of waste if he doesn't get that. Like, he's played a lot of hockey this year. He went to World Juniors again and was the number 1 center. I mentioned last podcast, you can get him into World Championships if you really want. Like, that could be beneficial. I'm just not worried. I'm not that worried about missing out on AHL playoffs.
And some have mentioned, what if the Bruins call him up and he just gets pushed around and completely outperformed by, a team in the playoffs like a Tampa Bay or Carolina or whomever. And it's like, okay, first of all, again, here we go with the doomsday scenario. I still think that there's value for him to not be wondering all offseason, what's it like? I think that he'll probably have more nerves having to sit on it all year, all summer about that NHL debut. He can get it out of the way now, but also, do you think James Hagens is going to sit there and be like, because the fear is it'll shake his confidence if he goes to the NHL too soon and doesn't do well. Does anybody think that James Hagens isn't self-aware enough to know, like, okay, if I go to the playoffs and I play against Tampa Bay or whomever, and I don't light the world on fire, that it's going to shake his confidence? I'm pretty sure he knows that Tampa Bay is one of the best teams in the world, has some of the best players in the, like, I don't think he's going to enter a lineup and have his confidence shook because at 19 years old, he wasn't able to turn Victor Hedman inside out. Like, I don't think he'll be that hard on himself. I think he understands that he's a young kid that's growing. I think what could be more possibly damaging to his confidence is him doing the right things down in Providence, being a blue chip prospect, and seeing that the NHL club that he's trying to make long term has a need for him right now, and they're not calling him up. To me, that could be more damaging to one psychology. So it goes both ways. There's risks in every scenario.
Yeah, and he did not lack confidence this college hockey season. The body language that he brought to each game was that he was feeling good about his game. He was the scoring leader in Hockey East. He had reason to feel good about himself, but you could also just tell that the confidence was there. And it's probably because of that, coming in feeling good about where he was at, and probably feels like he set himself up really well to make the jump. The confidence, even if it's, you have a little bit of a struggle, like, he knows how to find it. It's there. And also, you're right, Brian, because just thinking about it, I know that this may not be a great comparison, but like, even in my job in doing play-by-play, like, I always feel rusty at the beginning of the season. I would rather be called up to the big leagues at the end of the season where I feel like I've gotten my flow. I feel like like, you're in a groove at that point and you're heading in the right trajectory rather than trying to like start from square one and get, hit the ground running 0 to 60. So, I think that we can probably talk in circles about why this is the right move to make. But I also just texted Mark Dever to see if there was, he says he doesn't think that, he thinks there was just a morning skate for Providence practice, like no real practice. I guess they take Wednesdays off a lot of the time. So no up. I was trying to text him to see if there was an update from down there. So yeah, maybe everybody has a day off today.
If we're down in Hagens, there are some things from the game I want to get into, especially looking ahead to a potential first round series, which, Brian, as you mentioned, is not how it would be lined up right now, but things could still change. You know, Carolina's up by 4 points at the top over the three-headed beast from the Atlantic. Montreal, Buffalo, and Tampa all at 102 points. The other thing that could change that, you know, we haven't talked much about, but the Bruins, while I don't think the Bruins are going to drop out of a playoff spot, they could drop to the second wildcard spot because Ottawa won again Tuesday night. They're now 4 points back of the Bruins, but with a game in hand. And Ottawa would also have the tiebreaker, which is regulation wins. So the Bruins could also drop down into a 1-8 matchup with Carolina. And I thought Marco Sturm on his Nesson post-game interview was asked about, you know, the matchup and basically just kind of how the game unfolded, and said it's playoff hockey, and I think we didn't really understand how to play in those kinds of games and situations and periods. I think the message after the second period was to go back to our foundation and how we have to play as a team, as our identity moving forward. I think the guys responded really well in the third. And I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot to that, like, because watching this game, it was in some ways, Bridget, to your earlier point, like a very weird, bizarre game that felt nothing like playoff hockey. But yet I still saw things in there that I'm like, you can see like how a Boston Carolina playoff series could shake out, where, listen, if that's the matchup, Carolina's going to have a lot of possession. They just are. One, the Bruins they've been a subpar possession team. Carolina's been the best possession team in the league. They're over 60% Corsi on the season. They consistently pin teams in. They get a lot of pucks to the net. They get a lot of bodies to the net. They're not a lineup full of snipers. They don't score a lot of pretty goals. They rely on just chaos around the net, really. And we saw some of that on their goals Tuesday night. They score ugly goals. They score gritty goals. And that it has been part of their playoff success in the past. It's also been one of the things that's got them in trouble because they don't really have the game breakers that can just take over the way that a David Pastrnak can. Or, you know, a Morgan Geekie who can just snipe a corner from 40 feet. You know, so like, you know, that's how Carolina wants to play, and it can be very frustrating to play against. The key is you can't do what the Bruins did too often on Tuesday, which is feed into it by making your own mistakes, by getting the puck on your stick in the D zone and not getting it out and giving Carolina another 40 seconds of possession. That kind of stuff is just an absolute killer. So you can see, like, okay, the Bruins could survive some of that possession, but only if they don't make those mistakes, only if they take care of the puck and get it out and put some pressure on Carolina. Because you also see that Carolina can give up odd man rushes. Sometimes they throw so much forward into the offensive zone that they leave themselves exposed. And the Bruins got a couple of those on Tuesday. Carolina's goaltending has not been good the entire second half of the season. You saw that on Tuesday. Brendan Bussi, I did not think was very good in this game. I think he would like 2 or 3 of those goals back. Unfortunately, your goaltending was also not very good. That would need to change in a playoff series, right? Like, Jeremy Swayman over whoever is in Carolina's net has to be advantage Boston, no doubt about it. It wasn't on Tuesday, obviously. So you see, even in a weird game, you do see kind of like some contours of how this playoff series could unfold and like what the Bruins would have to do to actually win.
Yeah, it's going to be, you talk about possession. That means that it would be a series where they are probably pretty heavily outshot the same way that they were last night. It was 40-21 Carolina. And yet it went to overtime. But yeah, 40-21, and there's 11 goals scored. It was, you probably don't see that many goals in the playoffs, though I can think of a time where there was a Bruins Carolina game that was like 6-5 in overtime or something like that too. Like there are the occasional high scoring overtime games. And I think what Sturm was saying as well is just like the message after the first 2 periods was like, wake up, this is the playoffs. Like, this is what you have to be able to overcome if you are going to play them in the playoffs. Like, try to learn from it. I guess the positive is they did play a really good third period. And if they, if that's the adjustment that they needed to make and they figured it out, that's good news for you. And it's not just about regular season points. It's about, figuring out an opponent or figuring out the way that you have to play to win a playoff game.
Yeah, you're just going to be sharp against Carolina. Like, everything has to be quick when you play them, your decision-making, your feet, because they, especially in the defensive zone for the Bruins, Carolina, they like to send too hard. Their F3 is like a shark who's just kind of hovering and anticipating where that puck's going. Their strong side D pinches down. So you're kind of playing into their hands when you're fumbling pucks and you're trying to go up the middle of you're trying to go up the strong side. It's way too bottlenecked. So I think, some adjustments that they probably made and any team would have to make against Carolina is to you got to make decisions quicker, be a lot crisper with your passes. I think, and in doing so, you probably have to be very swift and decisive in reversing to go up the weak side, and you probably have to stretch out their weak side D. And your forwards have to know that that's coming, and you have to come across with them, beat their forwards to the punch, and just support each other. And when you have room to skate, you have to take it and skate. But you have to support each other. You have to move your feet. You have to be quick, decisive, and you have to have good execution, because otherwise they'll eat you alive. If you're a team that's getting flustered by their forecheck, their F3, it's a field day for them. You saw it last game too. There was one, I think it was maybe Carrier or Martin Hooker, somebody like Zadorov got past like one or two of their forecheckers because he just said, fuck this, I'm just going to take it myself. But the third forward was like reading it, and he attacked him before Zadorov had his head up. And they anticipate things very well. They force you into mistakes where their players that aren't doing the forcing know the play is going to. So it's not a fun it's very difficult. Like, there's a reason why they're consistently an effective team when they don't have a lot of superstars in their team. And I would argue they don't really have any. They have some players that are very good, and they have a couple all-stars, but nothing crazy. And they're greater than some of their parts because they play like a well-oiled machine, and they are always moving their feet. And, somebody on Twitter said to me, that's why they have struggles in the playoffs, because other teams start to pick up their game and Carolina plays a playoff style all year long. I mean, maybe, but either way, like the way Carolina plays, it's a demanding style to have to counteract. So you have to be on your toes and on your game.
Yeah, it's also a team that's finally healthy on defense, that had like a bajillion injuries all throughout the season. Like Slavin missed time. I think Chatfield missed time. Miller, Goss, like everyone has been out at some point on that blue line. And now they are like Mike Riley was playing big. Remember him? Like he was playing big minutes for Carolina at one point this season. So now they actually have their starting six. So that's probably come together just in time. They, avoided a scare to Seth Jarvis in this game that we briefly touched on. Zadorov, right? Knock him into the boards on a play that I thought was perfectly clean because Jarvis actually initiated contact. Like Jarvis looked like he was going in for the reverse hit, which I don't think that's the best idea when the defenseman closing on you is Nikita Zadorov. And Zadorov just bowled him right over. I was like, yeah, screw that. Like, you're not bumping me off with a reverse hit. Like, I'm just going to truck you. So Jarvis probably got a little more than he was asking for there. But ended up being fine, came back. And as we said, Delorier never got to fight him because he didn't play in the third period. So, yeah, that would have been interesting. That would have been a heavyweight bout, but it didn't happen.
I think, that it would have been a good fight, but it's okay that it didn't, because the Bruins needed to worry about coming back at that point and scoring. And anyway, no fights in that game was kind of a surprise. No Hampus Lindholm stick infractions. We got through that one. without one of those. But I know Brian
sober night.
Yeah, so that didn't happen. It's positive. I had a few little topics I want to just get your quick thoughts on, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, Brendan Bussi dive.
Oh my god. just embarrassing. Like I don't know how in the day and age of every camera angle and replays everywhere, like how do you bring yourself to do that and like just be okay with that being out there? Like that was embarrassing. Like how do you not feel like some level of shame being like this guy grazes me and I'm gonna flop like I just got shot from the balcony? Like and then so like the flop itself is embarrassing, the ref falling for it, or what I think actually happened is he probably just didn't see it. He probably saw Bussi ends up on the ice, knows Castlick was close to him, and thinks, oh, it must have been goalie interference. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
I mean,
what's more embarrassing? The Bussi dive, like he got shot backwards, or the guy who fell and lost his pants? Two on-camera moments yesterday that were embarrassing.
But Bussi, because he's actually doing it intentionally.
There you go.
You know, like the fan in Tampa. Listen, man, sometimes it's just not your day. You know, you're not doing that intentionally.
So upon the replay, it looked to me that Castlick's elbow may have like gotten close to Bussi's head. So I think he was trying to sell the headshot as opposed, like, I don't think he was trying to sell Castlick being backed into him. I think he was trying to sell, oh, he got me in the head. Either way, it was obviously, egregious. But honestly, I don't know. Like, I feel like that happens all the time with these goals. Like, I feel like goalies sell this stuff all the time.
This was probably one of the worst ones I've seen, though.
Yeah,
Through the hands. Like,
the
hands were very unnecessary.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, I also think part of it is goalies just look funnier when they fall.
Yeah,
that's true too.
They always look a little awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad call.
Yeah.
What else did you have, Bridget?
Okay, so Pavel Zacha, 30-goal season, first ever 30-goal season.
He's been lights out.
Yeah, second line, multiple points again. Obviously, Zacha, I'm trying to pull up the stat right now, 15 goals in the 22 games since the Olympic break. So, I mean, they've been good. Keeps rolling. Career high points, career high goals for him. Consistent. Great to see your second line still going, and they are your top power play unit now, plus Pasta and McAvoy. So keep that together. Keep the second line together. Keep that top power play unit together. Figure out what to do on the second unit. They've had a few different iterations with Geekie and Elias Lindholm, and Pasta stays out there normally, but Minton but I just wanted to give him his credit because he had another good game, big milestone for him. Any other thoughts on Zacha or the second line?
So I heard, Judd on the Nesson broadcast made a comment. He said, if you look up how many centers have 30 goals, it's not a lot. So I did look it up. I'm curious. Now, there could be some debate here because some guys play some wing and center, but how many centers do you think have 30 goals this season?
12.
I'll sit outside of Zacha or including Zacha?
Including Zacha.
Could be more, maybe 3.
I'm gonna say, I don't know. I'm gonna say 4.
No, so by my count, what I was counting as centers, I have 15.
Okay.
That's way more than I thought it would be. Okay. I thought the stat was going to be super low. That's why it was worth talking about, but that sounds about right.
So there's 41 players total who have 30 goals this season, and I would say 15 of them, I think, have played the majority of the season at center. So, that's pretty damn good company. Maybe not quite as exclusive as you guys were guessing, but that's...
I was close. Okay, and
Honestly,
I didn't go over, so Price is
Yeah,
Right rules.
true.
Well, I mean, I know, Drysaddle's been hurt. I know Matthews isn't at that this year. Barkov's been out. I wasn't sure if it was just like Celebrini, McDavid, a couple other. Like, I don't even know if Eichel has 30. Maybe he does. I don't
No,
know.
there's a lot of guys like right at 30 or in like the low 30s. Like Bedard has 30, Tavares 30,
Okay.
Dylan Larkin 31, Bo Horvat 30. Like, so there's a
Wow.
lot of guys kind of like right in that neighborhood. And then and then like at the very top, there's your obvious McKinnon, McDavid,
McKinnon.
Wyatt Johnston way up there, 43.
How about this though? More importantly for the Bruins, he's your top scoring center. So he has the 1C stats, though we're second line is what we've called it the whole year. So he's at least producing like some of those 1Cs that you're talking about. So good for him. Wanted to bring that up. And then this morning, the Bruins put out a press release that McAvoy is the Bruins nominee for the Masterton Award this year. So
Masterton,
sorry. Masterton Award this year, which goes to
not named after former Red Sox pitcher Justin Masterson.
Maybe no. It goes to basically a player that's gotten over the most extreme adversity on the team, and his adversity, I'm sure in this case, is referring to his injury adversity that he's faced from last year to this year. Missing the end of last season, getting ready, getting right, playing the way he has, getting injured multiple times during this season, hurting his face many times, losing all of his teeth, coming back and continuing to play through it. So
so just to read like the exact criteria, so like you're in the ballpark, but it's to the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. And it's kind of left open-ended. So I get to vote on this. It's voted on by the Boston chapter of the Professional Hockey Writers Association. And it's kind of left open-ended to like, what does that mean? Like sometimes it can be overcoming injury or personal stuff off the ice. Like we kind of get to, there's no kind of like set rules of like, it's not a comeback player of the year, but sometimes it might be that, right? Like it might be someone who just had a tough season or, had to take a 1-year prove it deal in free agency because their career kind of got sidetracked. Like it could be something like that. So McAvoy was on the top of my ballot. I think he was probably on the top of most of our ballots. But yeah, I don't know like where he's going to rank league wide. They sent us, write-ups on everyone's nominee that I'll have to go through before voting on the final award. But yeah, I think he's clearly a deserving nominee given everything that, just over the last calendar year or calendar year plus that he's dealt with, from season-ending injury to the broken jaw this year, a couple other shots to the face, some off-ice adversity in there too. We know his son Reese was sick at one point and in the hospital. So, and then he's come out of it with a career best season certainly in terms of offense, but arguably even just overall play. Wins a gold medal for Team USA, playing a huge role there. So, I think coming back and like having success on the ice is kind of factors in as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we have time, but there were some NCAA rule proposals that for college hockey that were interesting. We might be able to get to at some point, maybe in the off season. Because there's a vote, the NCAA is having a vote to change eligibility, which is kind of interesting. So that's more college hockey stuff. So we have time for that another time, because I know, Brian, you got to go fix another toilet probably. But that's it for me. I've gotten everything off my chest.
Alrighty, just a final reminder on Friday's episode, it will be a mailbag. So submit your questions on Twitter, email, skatepod@eei.com, YouTube, wherever you can.
At weei.com.
They know my slang. At eei.com.
We won't get it if you send it there.
No, Brian secretly has a second version of the email that he just handles himself. But yeah.
Yeah. So email skatepod@eei.com. All right.
EEI.com, yeah. Great.
No. skatepod@weei.com. Okay. Thank you all very much for listening, and we'll talk to you on Friday. Hey guys, thanks for watching the Skate Podcast. If you want to see more of our videos, visit our playlist.
Not in front of a screen. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment.